Welcome to Board Game Empire. We're going to be giving you a brief overview and review of The Last Kingdom. So this is based on a television series, if you watch that series.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
I didn't watch it, but he watched it, and he said it's a good representation of the show. So it's an area control game, and kind of I wouldn't say it's a card. Because you only get 5 or 6 cards. I wasn't saying it was kind of a...
It's not a card game, it's card drafting.
Card drafting, but you don't get to really draft that often. They are opportunities to get new cards, but for the most part, you start with 6 cards, and that's the cards that you play for the whole round, unless you're fortunate enough to get those card actions or buy the market action that allows you to draw cards. And you do want to make sure you have cards if you can, because that is your actions that you will be using. But it's partly your actions you'll be using on one of the 5 regions. You will be battling in each region, so you want to kind of make sure you have cards to kind of manipulate things if you need to in your favor till the end of the game if possible. There are market actions you can purchase with... these are called action tokens. Looks like it's like a snake dragon looking thing.
Yeah.
You will be gaining those throughout the game through cards, or by winning conflicts.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So you will be getting those throughout the game, and you hide everything, your victory points and your actions behind your screen, because that's part of the game, is the opponents not knowing how much you have versus how much they have, because at the end of the game, whoever has the most victory points wins. The victory points they have in different, there are these little tokens here, so you'll be getting those throughout the game and hiding those. You choose your hero and the corresponding, I forget what these are, affinity markers, along with the figurine. And then you're going to put your affinity ring based on which side you're on, the Danes or the Saxons. They are double-sided, so you will be changing whose side you're on possibly throughout the game, depending on what region's going to be battled in next. So if you know there's no way the Danes can win and you're Danes, you might want to switch to Saxon if you can for the next region. But I will say in a 2-player game, the switching back and forth, if you're the same one, it makes the game take even longer, because you're going to result in a tie unless someone was fortunate enough to get this marker, I forget what it's called, the allegiance marker. There's one extra. So if you happen to have that flipped to it has to be the same allegiance that you are. If you have that, then you automatically win in a tie. So that's a different story. There will be progression, but if you keep tied because neither of you can change back to the other allegiance, it did make it difficult, I will say, in a 2-player game. So throughout the game, basically, you could take one primary action and then it goes to the next player. It's played over 2 rounds. Each round ends when all 5 regions have a peace symbol on it, means whichever color won. And the way the peace symbols get on there is when a conflict happens and someone wins. If in the event of a tie, there is no peace marker placed. Therefore, there will be another conflict in that region, so you can see how that will add on to the length of the game if you keep tying in areas. Also, you don't, forget what term they called it, but it was when you disbanding excess armies. I was trying to remember what they called it. So in the event of a tie, that does not happen. But if someone wins the region, and there's more than 6 armies, it doesn't matter, more than 5 armies in any region that the one you just had the conflict on. I mean, if there's more than 5 armies, the army with the most, that has the most of the same type, you would remove the one excess from that color. If 2 colors tie, like say you had 3 and 3, you would take 1 from each color and leave those 4. But you just got to make sure that at the end of the conflict, if someone wins, that you do disband and it goes back down to 5. This is going to be changing a lot what armies are in there, because cards do manipulate that. And of course, you're going to be trying to manipulate it to be in your favor when the battle does occur in that region. And you do know what the next 2 battles are going to be. The first player will place the conflict token. Whichever region they place it in is where the first battle is going to be. This is determined in 2 ways. In a 2-player game, the one that didn't do the conflict places the succession. In any amount of players, the one that took the prepare for invasion token gets to decide where the succession goes next. So at the beginning of the game, the first player and second player are going to place that. Then if someone takes this, the battle will still occur here, but then this determines who gets to place that next. So, and you get the prepare for invasion token when you pass, but you can pass and say, basically that's saying, I pass for good this round. If you don't take it and you just pass, then you can always jump back into the game until all players have passed, and then that's when that the conflict is resolved in whatever region is next up. And then you do all the cleanup, which is where you're disbanding and all that. And then the next battle goes into the next region at the end of the next turn. So you just start again, everyone doing their actions. And remember, this is all round 1 that you're doing for the 5 regions. Then you have a cleanup phase where you get rid of everything from round 1, like the cards. So you start out with new cards, basically. And then you do the round 2, same thing, and then it's the end of the game, and the person that has the most victory points wins. There will be, all along, I'll tell you about these 2 things. This is the affinity track. Your beginning amounts are determined on your hero card, and the amount of action tokens you start with also is determined on your hero card. Your hero card does have a primary action you can use, but mine took 2 of these to be able to use it, so you'd want to make sure. And they also have a permanent ability that you can use. First players determine the person with the lowest number here beside their starting region, and then you're just going to place your player, their marker, wherever their starting region is on here. But the affinity tracker will be going up and down based on, you'll sometimes get it in cards. I think when you win
victory condition.
The victory conditions, there's different ways to rise that up on that track. And as you can see, there's at the end of conflicts, if you won, you get certain amount of victory points based on where you are on the affinity track. So if I won there and I was here in this region, I would get 2 victory points times each army of this type for that one. And you just keep going, and there's this one, so I have 0 for here, so I wouldn't get any points for this one. But it's basically, you're just going to get the points. Actually, it's the points for your faction, I believe, the one that won.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, on his side, I was the Danes, he was the Saxons. If you had one, like say he won, say the Saxons won. So if you're the Danes, you get points times this one. If you're the Saxons, however, you multiply if you won times each different color wherever you are on the affinity track. So so that's part of the conflict as well. On the market, I think I already spoke about that, but that costs a certain amount, anywhere from 3 to 6 action tokens, and you can buy as many as you want as long as you have enough action tokens. You can see they are also, there's 3 different types of actions. I'll show you that really quick. There's the primary one time only each turn. There's a secondary, passive, I think they call it.
Yeah.
That is where you could do those. You could play those and your turn does not end. Your turn does not end until you take one primary action. And then the other one is the instant action. You do those as soon as the card is drawn. And in the beginning of the game, you're going to be drafting cards. You'll be drafting, you get a hand of 5. You'll be drafting back and forth until you're down to 2 cards. You keep one and put the other in a discard pile. So you'll end up with 4 of the cards from the round and 2
From your character.
From your character. Everyone starts with their own specific cards that has their character on the back of them. So that's the 3 actions you can do. So if you happen to get one of the instant ones in the draft, before the game starts, everyone puts down their instant cards and resolves them. So whatever cards you're left with, that's your cards for the whole round unless you're lucky enough to get another card. There is a market action, and once you buy a market action or actions, you squeeze the remaining down and then they put those at the end. Of course, this is the more expensive. So it shows eventually if players keep buying them, the one you really want will eventually be affordable.
And there's more than just the ones we have there. We had to pick some and then random and then put those.
Right, and there is a 2-player side and these are the 2-player side of these market tokens.
You'll notice the 2-player side is located right there. I'll say 2. It's very small, but
yeah,
it has an indicator.
like this one, the Destiny is all. This is a great one. You draw 3 round 2 cards, and you get to keep 1, and you discard the other 2. So that gives you a chance to get an extra card, and you could do that as many times as you want, as long as you have the action tokens to do it. And there are cards that I had one right here, the Chaos, that allows you to draw a round 2 card off the top of the deck. So that was a really good one. So I think I covered it all in a nutshell.
Yeah. Oh, there's one thing she forgot, that when you do get this, you also get determined on how many of the piece things are out there.
The piece.
How many actions you could obtain several of these. So
yeah. So if there was 3 peace tokens out there, when you obtained the Prepare for Invasion token, you would get 3 action tokens to use. Because there's 3 peace.
And that's pretty much currency and also allows you to do certain things in your cards.
And you get to choose the next conflict for the succession marker. So what did you think about this game?
I really like the components, really high quality components, like the little armies, the miniatures. The cards are really good and nice and thick. The font could be a little bit bigger. They're kind of small. That was the only thing I saw in the components that I wish. Also, there's not a player aid. I mean, there is a player aid, but there's. I wish that they had a player aid with iconography, definitions, and stuff like that. And
I think it was on the back of the book, but
yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're saying.
And then, but great components. The main board's nice and thick. So. And also there's an insert in the box too, so everything could be nice and organized. So very impressed with the component quality of this game. So replayability, high replayability. There's so many cards. I'm guessing they might come out with expansion. It is a very popular game, and so and setup doesn't take that long. It probably takes 5 to 7 minutes. That's pretty good for area control.
Longer than that.
Well. It might take a little bit longer than that, but it's like a max 10 probably.
I think once you know it.
Yeah.
See, I was reading word for word how to set it up.
Yeah, so 5 to 7 if you know it, like 7 to 10 when you first start out. So, but overall, it's fairly quick. I mean, we play games, some take 30, 40 minutes, and both of us are doing it. So, just to set up. So, yeah, really, I would say pretty good replayability. Mechanics, really do like the mechanics, although I do have some things with the 2-player game. It's too easy to go back and forth, and your what is it? Your affinity to the pretty much prolongs the game quite a bit. I think that this is more tailored for a 3 or 4 player game. 3 player game, I would say it's definitely the more favorable one, and probably 4 as well. 3 is the most we played. So overall, total, I'm giving this a 6 for a 2 player and like an 8 for a 3 player. I think that this is definitely a game that if you're playing a 2 player and you're playing with someone with the same strategic level as you, you're just going to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and the game is going to extend beyond what you want it. Whereas a 3 player, it kind of offsets that, and you're able to just smoothly, team up or tag, or pretty much just it's a lot faster than a 2 player. I think a 2 player stalemates so often that it kind of limits it. So 6 for 2 and 8 for 3. What did you think?
Well, I'm going to say off the bat, this is not my type of game. I don't care for area majority games. I mean, I played Risk a lot back in the day, but, there weren't that many board games.
Yeah, when we first met. Oh my
God, that never-ending game. We gave up.
We played several that we finished. But we had this table that we played like 3, like when we first met the first year or 2, we had this table that we had a Risk game, and we played 3 games in the 2 years. The first 2 games did well, and we kept it out on the table. I mean, it would extend to like 2 or 3 days because we are strategically almost the same level. So, and then the third one, I think it was like a 3 or 4 day one.
We gave up,
or maybe even longer, and we just had to put it away. It was never ending.
That's what this game reminded me of.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, I had 2 players.
But we've been together 20 years, so of course we're going to think alike, and we know each other. We know how each other thinks, so that's part of it. I guess if you're playing with a gaming group you don't live with and been with for over 20 years, it would probably be a different story. But they do need to do something to make the 2 player where it's I don't know how they would do it. They just need to do something.
Well, we were thinking
to
more
make it where like a dummy hand or something.
Yeah,
something.
An AI 3 player, so it would offset anything that so the stalemates wouldn't be so frequent.
Yeah, but like he said, the components are really good in this game. It's amazing components. For me though, this is just not my type of game. I didn't hate it. I mean, it's just, for me, I don't find these that enjoyable. But I will rate it based on not on how I feel about these games, on how I feel about this in comparison to other games like this is the best way to rate it. So I would rate this a 7, not based on any player count. I think overall it's a solid 7 game. And I'm guessing too, yes, it's for people that like area majority games, and if they have 3 or more players, they probably absolutely love this game, because it does have, I do like it how it has the cards to add that, excitement and kind of surprise to the game. And the affinity track does help, keep it. It gives you another goal to go for other than just getting the majority in these. And of course the market, this is definitely a much needed mechanic, that market actions. That helps if you can get those action tokens. And that's a good thing if you do have a loser and a winner. The good thing about this game, the loser does get action tokens, so it does kind of keep it balanced. But when you tie, no one gets anything, and we kept tying a lot. So I would just, 3 players or more I would definitely suggest for this game, and I would give it a 7, because for this type of game, which I do think it's a great game, and I'm guessing this will do very well. And like he said, it will have probably a few expansions. And it is, I didn't watch the show, but I can see how if you were into this show, how the theme would make it even more enjoyable, especially if it's a show that you really enjoyed watching. So, so no really bad things to say about the game. So do you have anything else you wanted to say?
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for watching. he will put the link in the description if you want to check out this game for yourself. Hopefully our rambling helped you to decide whether this was a game you want to add to your collection, or maybe just want to check it out. Maybe you might think it's a good gift for someone you know. So thank you. Please give this video a like. Feel free to leave a comment or a question if you'd like. We hope you're already subscribed. If you are, thank you so much. If not, we hope you will subscribe. And we look forward to seeing you next time.